In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Hitler actually wasn't an atheist.
No, he was a Catholic, wasn't he?
Yes.
And Catholics aren't Christians. They're Mary-worshipping heretics. They call her the Queen of Heaven. And if a woman is a Queen of Heaven, if she rules heaven, if she has authority over all angels, she's a goddess in effect. So there's no way around that, being idolatry and heretical. So if he was a Catholic, doesn't mean he was a Christian. So don't say he was on my side. He was not.
Stalin probably was an atheist.
Stalin was a devil-worshipping Mason. He did the hidden hand gesture that Masons use. Devil worshippers act like atheists in order to advance their New World Order satanic agenda, because by using atheists, they're undermining religious establishments, which helps to destroy the world to pave the way for the Antichrist. So atheism is a useful tool, but they're going to eliminate it eventually. So you're not going to be around forever. You're just useful tools. You're tools, you know, that's how they see you, as the synagogue of Satan. Their best slave thinks he's free, atheists. You're just slaves. You're just pawns.
Neither of them did their bad things because they believed or because they didn't believe in God.
No, of course not. It was...
They didn't do it because they were atheists per se. However, atheism justifies literally, absolutely, and totally all evil possible because of the implication of atheism. Now, atheists will always say atheism is just lack of belief in a God or any gods, and that's it. No, that's a lie. There are connotations, there are implications. So why do you not bow to Mecca? It's because you're an atheist. Or you have back problems, in a rare exception, as well as being an atheist. In my case, it's because I'm a Christian that I don't bow. If you're an atheist, you don't bow, you don't respect the Muslim idol, satanic cube, because you're an atheist. You don't believe in that religion, that's why. Because you're an atheist. So that's an implication, proving that atheism has implications. And to deny that you don't do that because you're an atheist will discredit yourselves. So go ahead and do that. Now, where was I? So, atheism. It justifies all evil. How? By this implication. Nature made me do it. Because if there is no great spirit, in other words, a God, who gave us spirits and bodies, then we're just bodies, not spirits. Or else we would have always existed, which would make us gods. Or we would come from a great spirit, which would be a God, having power to create spirits, ex nihilo, as it were. That means out of nothing in Latin, if you don't know. So if we are just bodies, then we're just slaves to physics, totally predetermined by physical laws, with absolutely no freedom to deviate from them. I did a video proving that quandumb physics is not real science. It's based on a misinterpretation of the double slit experiment. In other words, why do you have a different pattern based on observation or lack thereof? It's because when you're observing, it's not about consciousness changing the matter. That's correlation confused with causation. It's not because of that. It's because to detect the radiation that you send, you have to send radiation, which hits that radiation and bounces off. This hitting is Newtonian physics at work, and it's because of that Newtonian physics that you have a different result. It has nothing to do with being aware of that thing. So quandumb is false and based on a misinterpretation of the double slit experiment, as I just explained. Moreover, quandumb logically defeats itself because it is antithetical to logic itself, in that it says that a cat can be both dead and alive at the same time, which is another way of saying, or is equivalent to saying, that quandumb is right and wrong at the same time. So how can you follow something that says, hey, I know you think I'm reliable, but maybe I'm not. Why would you follow someone who doesn't even have faith in themselves, you know, by analogy? So quandumb defeats itself because it says it's wrong and right at the same time. It's a contradiction. But if you want to believe that contradictions are legitimate, as in valid and logical, even though they're antithetical to logic itself, then go ahead and discredit yourself. But that's atheist for you. So atheism justifies all evil. Nature made me do it. What do atheists almost invariably do when it comes to criminals? They condone of depriving them of freedom and binding them, or even in some cases killing them. So there's Nazis, right? You condone of killing Nazis in World War II, do you not? And by the way, if you can kill them, why can't you force them to clean dishes, which is an example of slavery? So you are hypocrites to say that you can deprive them of all of life, which includes freedom, but not to deprive them of freedom in the case of forcing them to clean dishes. How can you, no, you cannot you cannot be consistent with these things. So since atheism justifies all evil, atheists, in relation to criminals, are like people who say, hey man, the puppet master made Kermit touch that little girl, so let's put Kermit in jail. That's how irrational atheists are. You put Kermit in jail for what the puppet master made him do. You are irrational and you are inconsistent with your own paradigm. And some of you, many of you, aren't even aware of the implications of your paradigm because you believe whatever they tell you and you don't really question atheism. You don't think for yourselves. You're not free thinkers. Not one of you is. If you were, well, you can't even account for thinking, because when I'm, for example, right now, I'm going to raise one of my hands, and nature doesn't care which hand I raise. It has nothing to do with nature. It has to, other than my ability to use my hands. I'm going to raise my right hand right now. Now I'm going to raise my right hand again. Now I'm going to raise my left hand. Who determined this? Me. And you know what? I was entirely aware of my conscious choice to do this. There was nothing outside of me forcing me to do this. It has nothing to do with my ancestry. I mean, if you want to say, oh, I'm right-handed, therefore you are more inclined. It doesn't matter what I'm more inclined to do, because ultimately I could resist my inclination. So, I think that's all that I had to cover here.
So we don't need God to be good.
When someone said, well, Stalin and Hitler were both atheists, and I think you said, well, they both have moustaches as well.
Yes.
It's just as relevant.
So it's a false fallacy, because the mustache has no bearing on how you're going to live your life. However, if you believe that there is no God, you will believe that you can get away with evil when you die. So you are inclined, even if you don't do it, you are inclined to see evil as a more appealing option, because you can actually get away with it if society either doesn't catch you, which happens a lot, or condones of your behavior, which happens a lot. You know, so it does have a bearing on how you live your life. And I already covered how atheism justifies all evil. That's a huge difference between mustaches and atheism. Atheism has implications, as covered. So Richard Dawkins and Ricky Gervais are pseudo-intellectuals. I easily proved that they're wrong and self-righteous hypocrites and losers forever.
I hate that. He knew we were crossing the road, but he had to save that 10 seconds because he's got such an important job as a full-time cunt. I always wish I had a brick. I always consider myself quite a rational, liberal sort of guy. I made you what you are and I get nothing back. I'm just an arsehole.
I choose death.